I'm excited to dive into some real-life conundrums and moral dilemmas today, as I share stories from the online community where people come together to explore the gray areas of human behavior. Let's get into it. Am I the butthole for finally telling my brother-in-law to leave after he's been mooching off us for a year? Am I the butthole for finally telling my brother-in-law to leave after he's been mooching off us for a year? He moved in saying he just needed a few months until he was able to save enough money to rent his own place. It's been a year, but has never once paid for bills, groceries, nothing. He doesn't even do basic chores, but my wife, she's his brother, always tries to cover for him and does his chores for him instead. He leaves dishes in the sink, doesn't take out the trash. Just sits around on his phone when he's at home to play mobile games or goes out on his motorcycle to go on long rides with his buddies. We've been biting our tongues because his family, but last week was the last straw. He came home late, parked his bike, and didn't lock the gate. As a result of his neglect, our dog of 12 years got out. We searched everywhere and even made Facebook posts, only to find out a few hours later that he got hit by a car just outside our subdivision. We were devastated, and I was very furious. But guess who was the one acting pissed off? My Bill. Saying it wasn't his fault, and that shit happens, and that he'd just buy us a new dog. Lol die. He hasn't even contributed a single cent to our monthly electric or internet bills. I lost it. Told him to pack his stuff and get out. My wife thinks I was too harsh, but I honestly don't care anymore. He doesn't respect our home, our rules, or our damn dog. Am I the butthole for not considering my wife's feelings first? A part of me feels that we should have talked about it first, but then I acted on my own out of anger. Am I the butthole? Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Am I the butthole for not considering my wife's feelings first? Why isn't she considering your feelings? Why does her brother seem to have priority in your home? That's not okay. Not the butthole. He didn't get his act together within 3 months. It's my guess he never planned to until he was forced to. The whole, not contributing anything to your household, is just such gross, entitled behavior. Good on you for finally taking care of business. I'm so sorry about your dog. Woof. Agreed. OP has been considerate towards his wife's feelings for at least a year, hence letting the bill live rent-free. Honestly, she doesn't have any grounds to be hurt or say anything to OP, as her brother overstayed his welcome in the first place. All of it right here. A few months usually winds up being a few years. A few years of doing absolutely nothing nothing but wasteful spending on drugs, alcohol, or junk they don't need from Walmart. She will likely unfortunately resent you, so offer to go to couples therapy to do some damage control, even though she clearly didn't care about your or the dog's wants and needs, which includes physical safety for the dog and psychological safety for you. Yes, husbands need psychological safety too. Honestly, I'd kick out my Bill to save his life, because I do want to throttle him. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for not giving my money to my aunt so she can buy my terminal grandma a nice handbag? I am 27 female and struggling to make ends meet. I barely finished college and have struggled with menial jobs since. My grandma is dying and has hopefully 6 months left. It's obviously sad and I am spending a lot of time with her, but at the same time, it's the cycle of life. Well, my auntie suddenly wants to spend a ton of money getting my grandma something that she's always wanted, a designer handbag. The entire point is that grandma never got to spend money on something frivolous for herself, and she always wanted a nice handbag. Auntie started asking the family to pitch in for a nice bag for grandma. I turned her down and said that I love grandma, but I can't afford extras. I couldn't even buy thin mints from my niece. But auntie is one of those people who wants to sit there and go over every single mistake I've made just to drive the point home that you made some bad decisions. And now you're facing the consequences, like I don't already know. So she drilled me about what I spend my money on, trying to poke holes for some kind of gotcha like, do I have streaming services? Do I get Uber Eats? Do I have a brand new phone? Do I get Starbucks? Do I have any new clothes or jewelry? Why am I not spending every free moment on a side hustle if things are so bad? Etc. I told her that the time I'm spending with grandma is more important than spending $6,000 on a handbag that she won't even be able to use, and to stop bugging me because I said no. My sister hasn't necessarily taken Auntie's side, but she's been saying stuff to me like you sound defensive. And that maybe Auntie has a point. AITA. I'm sorry. I know it's callous, but I think it would be wasteful to spend that kind of money on something she won't be able to use after this year. Am I the butthole for not giving Auntie money? Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Not the butthole, and your priorities are in the right place with spending time with your grandma. That's what matters most throughout life, and at the end. Since grandma can't take it with her, the cynical part of me is wondering if Auntie has plans to inherit a nice designer bag. Exactly what I am thinking. I bet Andy is going to do the picking out of said bag too. Don't give her a dime, kiddo. Auntie is a grifter. Right? Mm-hmm. I can't imagine her grandma would want her and her family to go into debt for a handbag. My grandparents wanted to leave something to us, even if it was only good thoughts. It's the first thing that came to my mind. Me, too. Auntie will keep that handbag as an inheritance. Hello? This is the right answer. She'll get it for grandma, and then once grandma passes, it'll be all, well, I arranged for her to have it, so it's only right that it goes to me. Totally see through, Auntie. We all can see you here on Reddit. Not the butthole. You gave the correct answer. Spend your precious time with grandma. That's the only thing that's going to be meaningful for both of you. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for wearing my wrist brace at work while my coworker has a broken wrist? Okay, so this is so weird. I, 24 female, work as a cashier at a sub place, and my coworker last week broke her wrist falling on the ice, so she is in a cast. When I was 14, I was diagnosed with tendinitis in both wrists. For the most part, it doesn't flare up unless I'm doing a lot with my hands. Well, I've been doing a lot of embroidery recently, and as such, I've caused a flare-up. It's been bothering me for about 2 weeks, and I wear my brace at home, and generally just sucked up the pain while at work, because with my coworker wearing a cast, I felt weird about wearing my brace. Well, yesterday it was bad enough I had to wear it at work, as I'm putting my stuff down and getting ready to start my shift. Another one of my coworkers, who I'll call Lisa, started to glare at me and asked in the usually snobby tone she uses with me, "What is that for?" So I told her about my tendinitis and what it was. She then started to get huffy like I was making it up. Mind you, the coworker who has the broken wrist didn't care. She didn't say anything. But the rest of my shift, Lisa kept giving me dirty looks, which is not out of the norm. She doesn't like me. Long story. Close to the end of my shift, I had to use the bathroom, and being as it's hard to do so with a wrist brace, I took it off. After coming out and washing my hands, I was putting the brace back on, when Lisa made another offhanded comment about how I was lucky I could take mine off. I didn't do this to spite anyone. My wrist just hurts, but now I'm getting ready for another shift, and trying to decide if I should just suck it up and go without my brace at work. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. What? What? Why on earth would you wearing a wrist brace affect anyone? What does someone else being in a cast have to do with your need for a brace? I'm so confused. Lisa needs to mind her own damn business, and you need to stop worrying about imaginary slights you may give to others. Not the butthole. If you need a brace, wear a brace. Please. You wearing or not wearing a brace will have zero impact on the level of pain or ability of someone else in a cast. Oh, I know why Lisa is behaving like that. She feels that any extra work will be pushed to her instead of you two because of the brace. Let your supervisor know. You don't want trouble. Not the butthole. Not the butthole. Have you filed an AITA disclosure with Human Resources that documents your disability and the need to occasionally wear a brace as a reasonable accommodation? If so, let HR know that Lisa keeps making comments about your documented disability and accommodation. Here's the response from OP. I haven't, since my family and I are packing up and moving cross-country. At the beginning of June, I don't think it'd be worth it to go through all that. Mind you, I told my supervisor about it when she asked, and she said it's fine. Hell, she was more concerned than anything, and asked if I needed to go home. Didn't need to, as I can work. It's like this shooting and radiating pain whenever I move my wrist. Worst part is it's never radiated to my fingers, like it is now. Definitely let the supervisor that was so empathic towards you about Lisa's behavior. And now for the next story. Am I the butthole for reading during my lunch break, then getting a bit snarky with a colleague? At the school where I work, as well as the main library. We have a mini library in each classroom. During my lunch breaks, I like to sit in my classroom and read a book from my classroom's mini library for about 10 or 15 minutes, as it helps me relax ahead of the afternoon. Today, one of my colleagues, not a superior, saw me doing this and accused me of stealing, as the books are for students, not us staff. She said that if I do it again, she'll report me. I don't remove the books from the classroom, and I put it back after my short reading time. I don't try to discourage kids from borrowing books. Even if it's the one I'm currently reading, I can continue it when the kid brings it back. The students aren't allowed in that part of the building over lunch, so they don't even know I do this, so would have no reason to feel discouraged from borrowing books. Several colleagues, including members of SLT, have come into my classroom to ask me something while I've been reading, and no one has had a problem with it before. I explained all this to my colleague, but she said there's no excuse for stealing from work. I reminded her that staff can borrow, and even take home, books from the main library, so why wouldn't I be allowed to read books from a mini library? And I asked if there was a rule against it. She said you shouldn't have to be told that stealing is wrong, and asked whether if she caught me swiping a school laptop, I'd expect her to turn a blind eye. I laughed at this, I couldn't help it, and asked if she was seriously comparing me reading a book with stealing a laptop. She said stealing is stealing. I told her to report me if she wants, and it'll give everyone a good laugh. She got angry and told me that stealing is no joke, that my attitude is disgusting, and reiterated that if she finds out I've done this again, she will report me, before walking off. Feel free to disagree, but I still don't think reading one of the school's books over my lunch break is stealing. But I feel a bit bad for being rude to my colleague. Am I the butthole? Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Not the butthole. Your colleagues sound deranged. Get on the front foot and tell your superior what is going on before your colleague does. No doubt she will embellish the story to make what you are doing sound way worse than it actually is. In addition to the personal benefit you are getting from reading, you could also mention that it helps you discuss the material with your students, if you are familiar with the books yourself. Seconded. I would even frame it as concern for your colleague. Tell your superior that you want to talk to them, that you had an interaction with your colleague that has you concerned. Explain you were reading a book from the mini library, and that your colleague saw that and accused you of theft. Explain that you did not remove the book from the premises and that you were doing this on your own time, which is obviously not theft, but that your colleague seemed stressed about this. Then, let them know that you wouldn't have thought too much about it, except that your colleague seemed so upset, and you thought maybe they, your superior, should be aware of it. I wouldn't spend a lot of time trying to justify yourself, or whatnot, because that can make it seem like you were doing something you shouldn't. The fact should be enough. Reading a book that is in the room with you on your own time is obviously not theft. That's a ridiculous idea, lol. This is exactly how I would handle it. They had a strange interaction with a colleague and they need to let the boss know. Maybe the colleague is confused about how books work. She is living in some cool fantasy realm, where the words come off the page and into your mind, when you read them, leaving the book blank. You stole the words. Thief! This. That person is crazy, and if she can't bully you to your face, she'll do it behind your back. Not the butthole. Like and subscribe for more awesome daily Reddit content. And don't forget to hit the bell to get notified when I upload new videos.